So, hi, I'm Martti. I'm head of software development in Pipedrive. And I have been in IT for almost 30 years, so I'm a really old man. You can tell by the picture as well, so yeah. So my background is a little bit corporate, so 10 years in different telecoms, also in fintech. I have run my own companies as well. Nowadays, we would call them startups, but 20 years ago, they were just companies. In Pipedrive, my main focus is about scaling the organization, architecture, and the team. So maybe a little bit about Pipedrive as well. You are all here, so you found the place, but update how we are doing at the moment. So we have 80,000 paying companies, much more users, of course. Close to the 500 employees in 6 offices. 4 offices are where we actually do engineering. So 2 of them are in Estonia, Tallinn and Tartu. We opened Lisbon 2 years ago. About 20 people there, and also Prague. We opened last summer, and currently I think we hired the 10th team member there. There is, I think this is the first startup tower in Estonia. Maybe I'm wrong, but probably not. Yeah. Yeah, it's not real time, but it's 24-hour animation of our customers connecting to the servers. So as you can see, you can find users everywhere. Maybe not in Sahara, but all the other places are covered. So the Pipedrive Tower, yeah. So you all probably know the story of Bill Gates and 640 kilobytes. That should be enough for any computer. It's the same with the Pipedrive Tower. So when it was built or started the planning 3 years ago, our founders thought that it should be enough for Pipedrive for forever. But the reality is that if we hire everyone we are planning for this year, then actually there will be no free seats. So first come, first serve. But the story I'm going to tell you is about scaling the software development or the engineering organization. When I joined 2.5 years ago, everything was really like fun and games. I got a very well-working organization. We had 8 or 9 independent teams. Each team had 5-6 engineers doing independently product development. We had fully automated deployment already then, and everything worked fine. And we kept growing. So this is the on the right side, you can see the organization growth. But beginning of the last year, we actually hit the wall. We wouldn't grow anymore. Before that, we had maybe a couple of levers from engineering. But in the first months of last year, we had much more than that. And it was really shocking. So I did the research. I looked for the root causes of why the engineers left. And basically, this is what I found out. Not everything is related actually to engineering organization, but more broadly about how we develop the product and all. So firstly, we didn't really have the delivery organization, but we delivered the organization. So what it means is that each team had their own roadmap, and if you give a resource to a PM, they will use it like 100%. And we didn't. We had those local optimums, but we didn't really look at the big picture. So we were actually wasting resources on engineering and built what was important for each independent team, but we didn't have a look at the big picture. We had scattered focus. So what it means is that if you start an engineering team and start building a new service, it's pretty nice in the beginning. You have one service, guys are building code from scratch, but maybe a year, 2 years in a row, and you have already something called legacy. You have more and more different projects that product people want to run. And what happens is that team is overloaded. You have a lot of bugs, you have support cases, you have 3 projects that you have to run at the same time, and nothing really gets delivered. And there is like constant context switching as well. So engineers get really like stressed and overloaded, but not much is actually produced. We had a management overhead. So by the beginning of last year, we already had 120 engineers and 20 independent teams. And what do you do if you actually have more teams that you have to manage? So classical thing is you start building hierarchies. So we did the same here in Pipedrive. So we created one more layer of managers. So we had engineering managers and team leads, and then I was on top of it, and then there was the CTO. And if we went to offsite with all the managers, we had 27 managers in the offsite, and for only like 100 engineers, and then I understood that this is not the good way to go. We had cultural and technical silos. So each team have a lot of independence in Pipedrive. We have fully automated deployment, we have a Dockerized environment. It means that teams don't have technical dependencies and they can move at their own pace, they can choose technologies. But what it actually leads to is basically cultural clashes. So great engineers meet in the kitchen and they will start fight over something trivial like how to do a code review or what is the best architecture for a microservice and so on. And there was no right or wrong answer, but the tensions between the teams grew. We had a centralized architect role. It was fine in the beginning, and we had our best people there. But if the organization grew, what happened was that architects became bottlenecks. They didn't have time to actually do the proper work on the problems. They were lagging behind, and no one and engineers started actually not really like them anymore. But yeah, it was pretty bad. Scrum is not that really so agile. When Scrum first came, like 20 years ago, it was a great system that promised to solve all the software engineering problems. But it's not so fast, and it doesn't allow you to move fast enough if you are in a startup environment. So if you have a problem, or you want to deliver a new feature, small change, then the best case is 2 weeks. Realistically, it's a month, because first week the PM plans, the second week team builds, third week PM sees that it is not really what he or she wanted. Then there is a repair week, and then we already have a month. So we have ditched the Scrum completely. So all the teams actually do Kanban in Pipedrive now. And it worked for us in some specific reasons pretty well. It's not, it might not be the case for every company. So that allows us in the beginning of projects to actually iterate really fast and push out new prototypes maybe every 2 or 3 days. And we had the hiring and retention problems, as you can see from the chart. So what I did is I actually click. Looked at best engineering organizations around the world. I looked what Spotify is doing, what Microsoft is doing, what Google is doing, and so on. And I put together a new framework for, this is not the copy of any other framework, but we created our own. And this is how we operate today. We have 10 tribes. Tribe is just a fancy name for a little bit bigger team. So tribe is up to 20, 25 engineers. And inside the tribe there is a launchpad and the missions. Launchpad is dedicated and focused on quality, solving incidents, refactoring, maybe doing technical research, and is fully owned by engineering and prioritized as well. And it allows actually engineers to push for the quality. We have reduced the bug count more than 50% in half a year, and some tribes actually pushing for the zero bug policy. So all the new bugs that come in, they will solve immediately. And it's not possible in an environment where you have sprints and you have the PM prioritizing backlog, because for the product there is always something more important than fixing a bug. And you probably all know the situation where the tail of the backlog is maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 5 years old. There are some bugs that everybody knows that they are there and they irritate people, but you will never get the priority to actually fix them. And development happens for the new features actually happens on the missions. Mission, again, it's just a fancy name for the project or a project team. And missions are focused, so engineers and designers and the PMs who are on the mission are fully committed and dedicated. They don't need to work on any other projects. They don't have to do support. They will. They have only like a business objective of the mission, to what they need to deliver. And missions, engineers can actually choose the missions they want to join. So they are free to go to a different tribe for a mission for a month or two, to work with different business in the business different business area, with a different technology stack, or just with people they like to work together with. And missions are pitched. So we have the hackathon style pitching event every Tuesday. We call it Pitching Tuesday, where the PM or the engineer will come to the stage, the same stage here, and we'll do the pitch. It's usually 5-6 minutes. He will tell the story that, for example, I want to improve the conversion rate of our onboarding process. And for that, we are going to build a completely new flow. We are going to use the AI. We are going to use the React on front end, some other tech stack in the back end. And at the end, there will be ask. I already have a designer, but I need a front end guy and 2 back end guys. Come and join me. for months. And then the mission will start if engineers choose to join. And all the people who are on the mission will actually sit together. So mission will be independent. So there is some like moving around in the building as well. And also we do some cross-tribe and cross-location missions as well. So sometimes people will drive to fly to Lisbon or Prague or even Tartu sometimes. So after mission is complete, there will be a demo also on the stage. So there is a very good visibility for everything that product and engineering is building and what actually is delivered. And engineers will land back with a mission to the launch pad. So there is like continuous rotation of engineers, and it's currently about 40-60 ratio. So 40% of the time is spent on the launch pad and taking care of the support, and then rest of the time is spent on missions, focusing on fast, focused delivery. We also have guilds, so guilds are not really part of the official organization, but they are like self-managed and self-created by engineers, and guilds own a technology or two and the technology life cycle as well. So guild, for example, front-end guild owns or builds our React libraries, UI components. They do weekly like meetings where you can go and ask questions or do demos. They have their like own special training programs where engineers or non-engineers can actually learn about tech and so on. And to support all of that, we have a couple of other more specific tribes as well. So we have the infra, taking care of all the infrastructure and deployment. As I said, deployment is fully automated, so we deploy more than 100 times per day. We have the tooling team. Data team it's not actually here, but we have the data team as well, and we have coaching. We do have the like classical agile coaching, but we also have the performance and personal coaching thing. So engineers can actually go and get help to actually set the life goals or solve some like issues or problems, or build confidence to go to a stage and give a presentation or something like that. So what we have now, we have a flatter organization, so it's leadership based. So we have much less managers. So instead of 27, we have a bigger organization now, and we have actually 10 managers only for 170 engineers. How we achieve that is actually we have empowered engineers. So engineers can actually solve a lot of problems for they have themselves. So they can go to IT or HR, and then they can ask what for the tools and stuff they need. We have the coaching role that helps people to grow as human beings or engineers. We don't have privileges or titles anymore. So, for example, those missions are led by engineers. So you don't get the title, but everybody can step up and be a leader and put the team together and solve the problem. So people have freedom to actually choose the projects they want to work with. So there is a lot of learning going on. We have the self-organized guilds. We're moving towards so that the engineers will own their own budget for the stuff as well. So they can choose the trainings programs they want to join or buy books or go to conferences. And managers are really the servant leaders, so they are not setting the objectives for engineers, but they really help others to grow. And we also pushing for the direct feedback culture, so people would not fall apart if someone is really trying to help them. So this is just a slide from the Pitching Tuesday. So this is how it happens. So there is a slideshow and the video recording, and everything is actually accessible from our internet as well. And missions. So missions are aligned to big rocks or the objectives of high-level objectives of the product organization. There is a complete focus and no distractions. So engineers actually take a commitment to not to go to the vacations for a month, and this is pretty amazing. There is a time boxing, so we are giving resources for a month or two or 6 weeks or something like that. You probably know that you can't fix everything, so you can't fix the scope and resources and the time. So we fixed two. We fixed resources and time, and that puts the pressure on the mission to deliver more important stuff first, and do the nice to have things in the end. And we do mostly Kanban, but we have taken some artifacts from Scrum as well, so we do Scrumban. Teams can decide how they actually work, but the only thing that is really like strongly advised to take from Scrum is a retro. So we want to keep the continuous improvement going. Before we had Scrum, we spent maybe 1 day per week on different meetings. It's like planning and grooming and demo and retro and so on. Now it's really like much less. And by now, we have gone through this change. Our organization growth is back on track. We have the big rocks or objectives where the tribe should aim for, and the steering is done on the top level with the objectives, but tribes will actually like create the missions that will support the long-term objectives. We have much less managers, so everything really runs around leadership and people taking responsibility instead of giving them like tasks and goals. We have improved service quality because Launchpads actually can deal with quality now. We have much better visibility because of the pitching and demo events, so the company, everybody in the company can get the update every week what is currently being built, and they will see the demos later. We have the higher engagement and satisfaction. We have had no leavers from engineering for the last 3 months, and this is, wow. We have faster and agile delivery, and there is a continuous rotation outside the comfort zone for everybody, so people actually learn and grow all the time. And I think this is it. If the clicker works, then yeah. So one slide before that. So what next? So the change is the only constant. So what we are testing out now is different ways how to work remotely. So the cross-tribe and cross-location missions is one thing. We are testing out the the remote mission as well. So one team of engineers and product people are actually flying to Sri Lanka in March for, they have rented villa and they are going to work out of there. So I'm not like 100% sure how it will end, but we'll see. So we need still the work on the feedback culture so that people would not break down if you try to help them. And we are going to create more rotating roles so people can take extra responsibilities outside engineering as well. So be, for example, responsible for the hiring for 3 months, or plan the hackathon or something like that. And now is the last slide. So thank you. We do the Q&A immediately, or how does it go? Only one, okay. Engineers have a very good BS radar, and if the mission pitch is not good enough or it's not believable, then engineers will ask very embarrassing questions and will not join. If nobody joins, then actually it's not the fault of engineer or designer if they don't want to join. It's the fault of the seller. So they need to go back to the drawing board, rethink the mission scope, and also do recruiting before the pitching. So it's not just so yeah, you need to be active. Yeah, I would like to answer this boring works stuff. So actually, we have engineers who really enjoy to take those boring tasks or tasks that nobody else wants to solve. For example, work on the legacy stuff, because they feel proud that they can actually solve problems that everybody has. And they are really like appreciated and yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you.